Jorge to say, we're going to split this team. One team's going to be on the insurance side, one team's going to be on the hospital side, and these guys are going to create deals with insurance companies or hospitals, etc., so that their patients come and then they're partnering government services, right? So their patients, they can send people, because they might have social workers and others. Anyway, this turned into a pretty big fucking idea. So I know some people that are there that I used to work with, but I'm saying it is like, that's basically the food truck model. Again, if you go back in the Wayback Machine, look at Aunt Bertha, you'll see how you can do it per year, how they kept evolving, and they had a little bit of money, and they had to figure it out. And I know the guy who was the first sales director, then became VP of sales, he's like, we basically had $2 million, and we were told, just figure out what's the business thing that we can solve here. And they did it. So that is, I feel like it's a good example of that food truck model. Any questions? So the food truck sales motion, for those that just joined, we're talking about food trucks versus Chili's, not literally, but metaphorically, as sort of to get you into the sales frame, because like Salesforce, HubSpot, any big SaaS company, any big tech company, they're really like Chili's. So their model is just big marketing, top down, and they're gonna give it to their salespeople, and they're gonna go, and that's the playbook. A food truck, it's like if any one of us started a food truck based on, let's say, your wife's recipes, your recipes, mama's recipes, you're doing education, persuasion, and trust all day long, which is the same thing you're doing as B2B. That's conversational, that's extremely adaptive, insight-driven, and founder-dependent, right? Like those are, that's it, like you have to do that. Okay, so the mistake that founders make when they build a food truck, they try to sell it like Chili's. And I'm talking about people that are here, like this is the founder-led sales motion, you're in year one, or maybe you're in year one on to year two, you're trying to get to your first million. You assume, you've heard other companies, they hire SDRs. What's SDR stand for?
Sales development.
Sales Development Representative, in case no one's heard of it. They hire them too early. These are generally young people, early 20s. They're still learning sales. They want to over-script messaging. Bad idea. You should go on the fly and really try to do disco and learn what's going on with your audience. Push volume over understanding. All of this is going to be low conversion rates, confusing buyers. And so the thing is, and there's a Stanford professor that I heard has arrived here, and he wants to teach a sales class like this, but he wants to teach it from the product standpoint. He wants to sit down with us, I found out when I got here. Maybe. So his whole idea is about, product. If you have a product, and you have a price, and you have a deck, just start selling it. Hire people like Jorge and go, right? What's wrong with that?
I mean, it seems like a lot could go wrong with no plan in place.
Who's the customer? Who's your ICP?
Yeah, you don't know yet.
Does everyone know ICP? Does anyone not know ICP? Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, sorry. It's a terrible, and you've told me not to use this term, so, but I'm gonna, just as a definition, okay?
Some people are starting to, it's starting to be controversial.
Yeah, I get that. We're just gonna use it as a concept. So it's your target customer. It stands for ICP, stands for Ideal Customer Profile. The VCs used to push it on startups, saying it's all about the ICP. The thing is that as a founder, at this stage, you should stay incredibly flexible, because you don't know what you don't know. So that ideal customer profile that who you think it is today might switch, right? Maybe we put our money together, we cobble together $5,000. We start coming, we want to target UT students. We're pitching to them, and we find out UT students aren't really the target customer, it's professors, because they have more money than the students who are poor. So it's that type of mindset, right? Michael?
Yeah, so the ICP, we've talked about this, and he's been teaching me for a long time, and I've learned a lot from him, but the ICP stuff was one of the things that I was really struggling with for a long time. It wasn't clicking. And I thought it was about sort of market data and about, well, the size, I thought it was about metrics and statistics. It's not, it's more about, I heard, a working definition of that started to make sense with me is that it's about the psychology of a person who's going to write a check to buy your stuff. It's not about who they are or what company kind of came from, it's about their psychology. Here's an example. Imagine a scenario where your ideal client profile is companies that have already convinced themselves that they need to invest in machine learning technology. That's a mental framing that they already have, and it has nothing to do with you. And then if you're selling something that helps with machine learning adoption or machine learning technology, it's easier to get into their circle of evaluation and their circle of trust, and it's easier to communicate with them.
So the trust word is going to come up a lot in this phase, right? Again, if you can't build trust, there's a lot of people that it's not that they can't build trust, but maybe they're an engineer first, they're a scientist first, they went through 12 years post-undergrad of training, brilliant, just hard to read, so it's just harder, and that could be. So, but you gotta build trust, you gotta learn what messaging works, and this is going to evolve in this stage, and that's why that ICP, it's not concrete, it's kind of a moving target. You're trying to figure out what the market values. That's really what you're trying to do. And so, I'm gonna get into 3 examples, but before I get into 3 examples, real B2B companies, we might add a 4th, Pincus, which we start talking about when you're in here. But before we do that, we're gonna take a pause to do introductions. So we're gonna go around. What you're gonna do is you're gonna say your name, if you're a founder, what's the name of your company, how much you've raised, and just give us a little pitch, right? And so we're gonna go, everyone's gonna go. We're big on everyone talking here. You could pause, you could say, hey, pass, I'm kind of shy, but we're gonna come back to you, like everyone talks in this class, even Jessica.
No.
Why don't you go first?
I'll start off. My name is Tori Muhammad. I am just about to graduate next Saturday, so I'm really just getting into the field of tech sales or just kind of sales in general. It's something that I'm interested in. And I'm not a founder, so I'll just put that out there straight up. I just want to get frameworks to see kind of like what companies look for and use this as an opportunity to learn and network, honestly, at the end of the day. So,
Welcome and congratulations on graduating.
thank you, I appreciate it.
You're next.
Hello everyone, my name is Rishi and I am not a founder, I am a full stack developer, but I am learning these business models and ideas.
Cool, welcome.
Me? Or you can go first.
Hi everyone, my name is Angus. I am maybe just about a founder at this point, sort of a co-founder. This is my other co-founder Jenna. So we've got a small business, very early stage, called ICO Group. We are a business automation company. We're sort of focusing on at the moment, with your ICP comments in mind, on sort of small to medium-sized businesses that spend lots of time on manual work, things like data processing, document processing, all those kinds of things. And we essentially build custom automations around their tools and systems, sort of trying to minimize disruption to their business and enabling their employees to focus on higher value work. That's kind of us. I have another job at the moment, which is sort of sales, e-commerce related, starting to build this on the side.
Cool. Jenna, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm a full stack developer for Tokyo Electronics, a semiconductor company, but on the side I'm trying to work with to start this company, so I'm kind of more the product side of this part, so developing full stack applications that utilize AI and automation.
Okay, we're gonna do a little pivot here. Does everyone know what disco is in the context of founder-led sales? Does anyone, raise your hand if you don't. Okay, let's talk about, what's disco, Jorge? On the spot.
Discovery.
What does that mean when we just do discovery?
Trying to uncover the potential need that somebody that you're talking to might have for your product or service.
So, how would you, go ahead, yes ma'am.
So, like, discovery is like figuring out like what their problem is and qualifying the lead to actually figure out if you can solve that problem for them.
Bullseye. So let's do this together. What questions would we ask for Jenna and Angus to do disco on them? Let's say we own a company, right, and we're curious about what they do. What questions would you ask?
First question, what problem are you solving and who are you solving it for?
Great. Who wants to answer that? Jenna or Angus?
I mean, that's something we're figuring out. We're looking at different industries. We've solved one problem for a charity, which is quite an interesting solution that we've developed. So we're exploring potentially scaling that solution elsewhere. We're also looking at targeting businesses that do things that we know how to do in her experience and my experience. So one of the key things we've seen is lots of businesses struggle with document processing, sort of inputting data that comes in various different formats, whether it's PDF, into an email, and they have to input it into their CRM, their ERP, whatever that is. So looking at trying to find industries or businesses that have that problem and potentially scaling to those.
So the problem that you're solving is that you're enhancing back-end workflows
Yeah.
for medium and small size enterprises.
Being able to connect different systems, I think a lot of businesses, or personally with my experience at my company, it's like we have applications that take in like PDFs and invoices, and then they have to go into different systems. Being able to connect those systems with a middle automation is kind of where I'm seeing this going. But yeah, social media engagement platforms, that's what I built for the charity, and seeing how we can enhance that for small to medium-sized businesses to target people on social media. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, does anyone seen some commonalities within they have SMBs is the ICP, right? Sorry for the back acronym, small businesses. But it seems like what they said is that small businesses that were nonprofits, that's a particular painful because they probably lack resources, right? And maybe they're not as up on Claude Code, other resources. So that's where they're falling into their market. Does that?
So it's probably not an ICP then to begin with.
Tell me more.
Well, I mean, when you're defining an ICP, you're not only wanting to look at a demographic, but you're wanting to understand who the best possible buyer that fits your particular product and solution is. So one of the things you want to look at is, can they afford what I'm doing? Are they, how much friction would there be to onboarding? And then really what I'd like to do is get into their mindset of what the problem is day to day for them. Why would they actually buy from me? Which sounds like what you were starting to get into there a second ago.
Yeah, and tying to what you're saying, what sounds to me, this is a company that maybe has money to be able to pay you for a given consulting gig, but doesn't have enough money to have a full-time IT team to handle those type of problems.
Right.
This is great. Anything to add, sir? Okay, we're gonna come back to you guys. Yes, you have something to add.
Just an observation, it's a big pain point. Like, I'm doing some contract work, and one of them's for like a small business, and they know absolutely nothing. It's just it's a family, they hired a few extra people, a ton going on, and literally this mom, all she's doing all day is clocking people in and out. And I was like, hey, like you can automate this, I can have this completely do it for you. And she was like, what? Like that's worth so much to me. It's worth like what I do all day, every day.
Yeah.
It ended up coming out to like $20,000 just to put something in place. But she's like, it's a huge need. People that, especially family businesses, they're just so, it's really difficult to understand if you grew up in a different time. And I don't know, that's the blood.
So I'm gonna create I'm gonna create something, for now, we're gonna call it, we're just gonna call it, particular list right now, but I think it's something that's coming up. So, I'm gonna say pinpoint, it's really small, pinpoint, SMB pain point, and we're gonna come back to that. And because it's something that is worth, coming back to. Okay.
Also vendor churn, I think that's a common thing that we see, a lot of these SMEs, they come and sign with you. 6 months later, they don't know how to support themselves because they don't have the IT people on the ground, and suddenly they figure that the solution doesn't really fit. So, this is a common thing that I see a lot of, even large enterprises, the idea of the vendor churn, which is basically,
Yeah, well, that's a
it's
big
lost for
problem.
both sides.
Do you want to introduce yourself and then we'll get to you? Yeah, you with beard mustache.
My name's Michael, founder. Our company's called Principal AI. Basically, we built the frame IO for software. So you can just share a link and team can collaborate and understand the code without having to be in the IDE or download the repo.
Cool. How many customers you have?
We
No.
just got, yeah.
You're at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, you're in this stage. Okay, everyone. What's your name, sir?
Khalid of Google. I actually founded 3 companies, 2 tech and 1 management consultancy. Currently, the company that I founded actually relocated from overseas, from Dubai to Austin. It's called Synergy Advisors. And the 2 tech companies that I actually founded, they're both in fintech. One I had a small exit, and the other one I failed. One was specialized in third-party processing. This is the one actually was success, and the one was failure was consumer financing.
Okay, thank you and welcome to both of you. Okay, so I'm gonna capture something real quick. So he said, I founded 3 companies, 1 failed. So there's something called positioning, right? Does everyone know what positioning is within messaging? Most people do. So I would say, playing it back to you, no startup that you founded is a failure, especially if it got acquired. Now there could be different types there could be an acquisition that is a great acquisition, there could be an acquisition that maybe was a down round, but you had an exit. Focus on the exit, focus on the positive. That's what I would say. You.
Melissa. I'm Melissa Bear. I'm originally Canadian. I live in New Zealand, visiting Austin. I have been a founder my whole life, and my latest venture is helping premium food companies source healthy food from farmers.
Love it.
Using data.
So cool.
Welcome, Melissa.
Thank
I'm glad
you.
you said your name. Good to see you.
You too. Is that all I need to do? Do I need to do more? No. Oh, backstory of the company. What's the backstory of food?
You want to explain more? What's backstory? What
Backstory is the company that does that. Is helping premium food companies source, and so that they can understand, prove claims, prove health claims, start to identify farmers that could meet their requirements for attributes and premium claims.
Awesome. Through tech.
Yeah, data and ontologies and knowledge graphs, and Palantir just had a major announcement that kind of freaks me out / excites me all at the same time. I'm not sure.
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, I know. And I'm on
The stock was down today.
And I'm on a board of another company that he's interested in, so it's kind of crazy at the moment. So,
Yeah. You are.
Hi. Hey, my name is Erica. I am a tech recruiter. I just started my own company in February. I help small businesses in the tech space grow their sales teams.
Awesome. Welcome, Erica.
Thanks.
And next to Erica?
Me?
Yeah.
You wanna know who I am? My name is Michael Schultz. 20 years of sales and business development across 4 different industries. Most recently, for about the last 2 years, I've ran sales consulting, and I do fractional CRO and other consulting to help companies that have found product market fit escape founder-led sales and move to a truly scalable sales organization.
Cool. So in terms of this graph here, what Michael does is he tries to take you here or here. It's not easy, right? And there are different ways, a lot written about that.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
Huh?
Thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
Yeah,
It's
anytime.
not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. No, none of this is easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But yeah, it's not easy. Okay, you in the corner, man.
I'm Abby. I'm a founder. I have a company called Captivate, and we're building an EEG headset that reads your brainwaves and then gives a vibration when you get distracted. So help students with inattention, people with ADHD, that kind of thing.
Is this Apple?
Yeah. It's like a
Are you, Abby, are you in a PhD program or master's program at UT?
No. I'm actually from Arizona. I'm visiting for a month, so I just thought
There's, remind me, there are 3, 2 are doctors, 1's a professor that are working on something similar, but it's specifically towards migraines.
Yeah.
And they're working on, anyway, I'm happy to put you in touch with them, and then I know their advisor, and he's gonna come up in a second, so, yeah, just reach out afterward. Again, this is my cell number, 512, poorly written. If you text me, I will send you the deck afterwards, Just give me your email address. Okay. Oh, it's you, Jessica, you're hiding.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm a founder of a free safety app for my major Latin women, but any vulnerable demographics. And we partner with bars to prevent sexual assault and drink spiking.
Never be scared, Jessica. There you go. What's your name?
Hey, I am Colin Tenalia and working on some names here. So I'm a partner with my father's firm, a tax firm, and I also have an investment firm. As of I don't know 2 hours ago, I can legally talk about it now. So really, he's all word of mouth. We have a great business. It's flourishing, but really we can do a lot more. And usually, tax people are terrible at investments, and investment people are terrible at tax. So really, we're really merging that world together, but we focus on individuals, but also small businesses. And I really like working with small businesses because those first couple of years are really a struggle. And you really just want to focus on your business rather than all the other stuff.
Cool. Welcome, Colin.
Thanks.
You are?
Hey guys, my name's Gunnar. I'm founding a company called Clang AI. I'm in the early stages. I've been bootstrapping it, and I'm actually I'm thinking about getting an SDR job to just pay for the tokens that I've been using.
For real.
Not kidding. Ultimately, you know, when GPT 3.5, so ChatGPT came out, it was trained on the Fine Web dataset, which was 54 terabytes. It was the internet at the time. When I exported my data from Meta, Apple, Facebook, and all of them, Google, it was 7 terabytes. Like 54 terabytes, which trained, you know, ChatGPT, and 7 terabytes, which was like just my own data. And that's only scratching the surface. You know, like we're in the data revolution, yet the vast majority of data is not getting tapped into. So I built the tap, and on top of it, I'm really exploring what exactly you can do with all this data that no one really has or is using right now.
Cool. Welcome, Gunnar. Do you have a customer or a pilot?
People using it, but I'm trying to get performance down. It's pretty heavy on the machine.
Okay. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Chad Simpson. I just wandered in here, so a bit on the spot, but I have a decade of customer-facing experience. I've started my own practice helping companies refine their sales processes and identify bottlenecks and start mitigating some of that and create efficiency across the board.
Cool. Welcome, Chad.
Hello everybody, my name is Michael Verhulst. I'm one of the co-founders of CAD as Code. My team and I are basically something like serial entrepreneurs who have been working together for about 20 years. So CAD as Code is basically an integrated development environment that allows users to edit computer-aided design files, CAD files, as though they would edit text. So for the first time ever, we're providing mechanical engineers the ability to use continuous integration and continuous development, linting, GitHub, revision control, automated systems for coding agents. So we've raised about $750,000, and we're currently working on raising a $10 million seed.
Thanks, Michael. That's great. You want to go next?
I'm Sophia Mueller. I'm the founder of Solta AI. It's a emotion regulation tool that reads your emotion through your facial expression and your tone of voice, and it adjusts an exercise to regulate your nervous system based on that.
I have questions for you. That's
Same.
awesome. So, who's the target customer? Like, do you have a real specific one? Like, I could think people maybe with specific issues that they can't regulate their emotions. Is that the?
Not specific issues, it could be for hours. So the ICP, it's a knowledge worker that works on their laptop, and sometimes they get an email that just upsets them, and that's just like not letting them focus on work. So they just want to like reset their emotions and start over again. So they use their tool, and then they go back to a regulated state.
So, do you envision selling this B2B to companies, maybe mid-market or enterprise that have, say, 100 to 100,000 employees? They have employees, and this is a benefit to them. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, we're always gonna have the B2C option on the website, but the revenue driver is gonna be the B2B. And that could be a customer. We've also signed contracts with other startups that have like a mental health edge to their offering and want to add our product as a perk to their product.
As white label it?
Yeah, kind of.
Are you a neurology student at UT?
No, I'm an engineer.
You're
I
an
have a
engineer.
master's in machine learning, and I worked in brain health research at Apple for almost 4 years.
There you go. Let's remember that when we get to your story. That's good. Thank you. You're next.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew. I was a software engineer for around 8 years, and I went back to school at UT, starting in spring, full time, and I thought I was just going to do that. But an interesting idea came up where basically TLDR, working with speech pathologists, like speech therapists, to start their own private practice. So a lot of them are working at like hospitals or nursing facilities, but they're like overworked and they want to start their own private practice, but they don't know how. So Fledge, which is what I call it, the company, is working with them to basically go through the credentialing process, how to handle insurance. There's like a free checklist, so that's part one. And then part two is like building out some software they can actually use to see patients. And so I have a test pilot person I found, and so she's basically telling me what to do because I don't know much about speech pathology, except I benefited from it a few years ago. So, and yeah, I've just been grimy, like talking to people, cold calling, never done it before because I'm an engineer. So, but it's kind of fun just having interviews and figuring it out. So we'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Ruero. I'm a product manager. I specialize in AI and data science, and for the past 4 years, I've been leading product management for a sales and marketing company. So all these type of things are super nerdy to me and I enjoy them.
Welcome. You're next.
I'm Dan. I've been building for pretty much all my life. I don't really know what constitutes a founder. I mostly build in silos and then release it. And I don't have much sales or marketing experience to really do the proper outreach. My current project that I'm working on right now is a version control and visual dipping tool for digital audio workstation files. I'd love to learn more, you know, just soak in that kind of sales and marketing outreach knowledge here. So.
Cool. Welcome, Dan.
Yes, my name is Sasha. I'm a founder of the company named Sylphy AI, but still very early. You will not find it. What we do is people are actually overwhelmed by using apps and programs, and they constantly are switching context. And what we are doing is we have the idea: what is if you just can touch something, speak to it, and it will appear on your display. Like you can touch an email and say, make me a summary, and it will appear. But not in the chat window, it will appear in the UI. So the goal is that the AI is not using tools or programs. The UI, the AI is the program. So I'm working on that really for some time. I quit my job, and now trying to get this actually a little bit more serious.
Cool. That's awesome. I feel like that exists in one of the Mission Impossible movies I've seen with my kids, where he's using a screen and with his eyes, and it
they make like this.
Yes, yes. So I think you could take a clip of Tom Cruise and say that's what we're building right there. That 10-second clip, we're making that.
Almost, yes.
Okay. Jorge, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Jorge. I work with Daniel, and we've been running this class for 2 years now. I'm an account executive right now with a company called Legal Sifter, and I sell legal tech to CFOs primarily, who are looking for a way to streamline their contract data, and reconcile it easily with data that they have in their ERPs. That's like the main use case where somebody's gonna buy really quickly, and it makes me happy when somebody can solve a problem. And that's the work they're doing.
Jorge is the #1 guy on the sales team, and so yeah, he knows how to close. He knows this methodology. He knows this stuff really well. Okay, we're going to go back to this and get to some examples. So first, founder-led sales defined. It's not about charisma. even though people think it is. You gotta translate novelty into clarity. And if I could circle this word on the screen, our word, clarity is gonna come up again and again. You gotta reduce the perceived risk. This comes up with every company, don't you think? And if you're the founder, you gotta create demand, not just capture it. So the examples I'm gonna give, in each case, they've done that. And it's not easy. So why the founder matters. Again, if I could I would underline only. The founder knows why this exists. The founder has that conviction. If the founder can't speak with that conviction, I kinda don't wanna back the founder. I don't wanna work with them. They gotta have unbelievable conviction. They can adapt that narrative and be flexible in real time, realizing Jorge's got this gene. If he's talking to a CFO, he sort of got those talking points down, versus if he's talking to a developer, he's got different talking points, right like that, right? Founder's gotta do that. You can handle edge cases on the fly, right, no matter what. That's a good one, yep, we have an answer for that. Without no bullshit, just a real answer, right? And detect patterns easily. Really hard, but that's basically what you're doing. It shows that game of memory. You might have a card deck, 52 cards all turned over. You just turn one over and then the other, and you're trying to match. Okay, I saw another ace, where is that? You're kind of detecting those patterns when you're working really hard over the months.
I'm the weakest of the four. I'm weak on number 3. Handling education objections immediately. That's tough.
I think that, one good thing you could do, if you write it down, you're in a meeting, you can't answer that immediately, you could come back to, ping them in the morning. You could ping them at 7 a.m. and say, okay, I have a good answer. So it doesn't have to be spontaneous. It's great if it is, it doesn't have to be, as long as you get back to them right away. Okay, example 1, Chili Piper. Has anyone heard of Chili Piper? So this is a boring, the first 2 examples are boring B2B marketing examples. This company started in 10 years ago, 2015 or so, 2016. The founders are from somewhere in Eastern Europe. They moved to the US. They're married. Smart as hell. So it was all about demand gen. They created something called Chili Palooza, invite only. So B2B marketing shows are dull and boring. Everyone's got a booth. There's all these speakers. It's formalized. They were like, let's blow up the whole model and make it fun. Let's make it a ton of fun, and let's make sure everyone interacts. That was sort of the beginning. So, and then they did a demand gen podcast. They were basically building a category and building that expertise. They went from 0 to 50 million in ARR. That's real. That's real hard. That's impressive. And basically what Chili Piper did is, remember, this is in the context of 2015, 2016, because it sounds stupid now with Claude. It's basically, they made it so you could do instant booking with an inbound lead. So they were killing the back and forth, right? So everyone's done that now, like here's my Calendly link, blah, blah, blah. But in 2015, 2016, on the B2B side, that didn't exist. That's what they did. Very specific niche, very specific pain point. You're gonna see that come up again with the next one. Limitless, you heard of these guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so they bootstrapped to 45 million. They might have gotten investors elsewhere after that. They had a founder, I can't remember his name, anyway, and he partnered with this great product marketing guy who's kind of famous now. But the fact that, again, 0 to 45 million, and they were one of these that were doing, hey, look at our receipts. Look, here's proof. We're at 3 million. 6 months later, here's proof. Now we're at 4 million on LinkedIn. So they were really the opposite of everyone else. Again, they were that category authority. And basically what they did before it was, now it's easy, but at the time in 2015, 2016, having cold emails that didn't feel cold was rare. And their whole thing was, most people wanted one-to-one emails. You couldn't do it. They're like, we can do one-to-many that feel like it's personalized. They cracked that nut, and they had a great exit. That's what they did. It's kind of, it's big, because again, both these bootstrapped. Tag, so I know these guys, Tag was the original name when they were in college. These were, I mean, college students. They were 19 or 20, 4 of them. Originally their idea was, we can take data off of Twitter, this is 2010, and we can drink from the fire hose, and we can find brilliant insights in that data. And we can predict how stocks are gonna do, because we can see if a retail stock, if the sales are doing well, then that's gonna influence the stock, because we think we can predict profit and the stock going up. They wanted to sell to Wall Street. Wall Street laughed and said, we don't buy companies like you, we would just hire you to come to work for us, we'd give you a salary, drop out of school, that's the way it works. They said no, they went back to the professor. The professor was like a real great marketing professor. And the professor said, you know what, this is really interesting data. I have a friend of mine at a company in the US, let's take it to him and see what they say. So this guy was at a company called Procter & Gamble, Cincinnati. A couple of you have heard this story before. This is true shit. And so they basically got in with one small Procter & Gamble department on new product development. At that time, they were developing those pods that we all know for our dishwasher. So they were like, look, we've spent close to $1 billion on these pods. We need y'all to drink from the fire hose and tell us what people are doing, because this is just happening in, let's say, 6 or 7 cities. So they were like, perfect, we can do this. They came back as they were doing, and they were doing, by the way, it wasn't SaaS yet. They were doing reports, it was more like a managed service. So they came back, you know, with monthly reports, weekly reports, and said, guys, there's a problem. Moms have young babies or toddlers, and those little kids think this thing is a toy. And they're chewing on it. They're like, you guys don't have enough data points off of Twitter, thanks. The next month or 2 months later, it was a front page story of the Wall Street Journal, and a class action lawsuit was filed, right? That's a holy shit matter. So what happened was, they did a land and expand. All of a sudden, they went from one category in Procter & Gamble to all of marketing, all of legal for America. Then they ended up getting the CEO's office, then they ended up getting all of North America, then they ended up getting Procter & Gamble US. That was their pilot for 2 years, just Procter & Gamble, until finally they got permission to sell to their competitor, Colgate. Obviously these guys, they got bought, they became Data Rank. Tag was a stupid name. They changed to Data Rank. They were the first ones to do this, and they sold. The top 2 guys, the CTO and the CEO, started another company. They're based in Seattle now. They're the company that, if you know, how can everyone invest in real estate, a second home? That's their website. They're worth more than $100 million. These were, like when I met them, I'm like, okay, these guys are smart. I wonder if this is like, they're not as good as they think they are, or they're coming off, and it's like, they were better. It was pretty impressive. So I say all this, like, this was, they could just do it. It wasn't a sales motion. This was, if I go back to the founder stuff here, these guys, they had conviction. They had a narrative in real time. They're like, no one else is doing this. They're like, everyone else should be doing this, but no one else is doing this. They could detect patterns. They could, all the edge cases and stuff, it was easy for them to handle. And so one of the things they did, like in food marketing, is they would show, they're like, these 2 products should sort of date, even though they're different. And they're like, what? What do you mean? They're like, well, from Twitter, we know that a lot of people, I'm just gonna use a bad example, a lot of people buy Thousand Islands, I don't know who owns Thousand Islands, say General Mills, and then the kids, or some of the family, then marries it with, let's just say, ketchup, which is Heinz. And those 2 products create, I don't know what you call it, but people on Twitter call it X. And those 2 products should create a product together for X, because everyone's doing that naturally. So they could spot those things. And they started telling Colgate, Procter & Gamble about, I mean, you could just see the value that they were seeing. It was huge. And so they were just young guys who became data scientists. You could see their value on the fly. It was just obvious. Okay, so this comes from the guy, I think Abby in the back was the one who's got the brainwaves thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this comes to the guy who's an advisor to that company.
Okay.
So Dave Rames is his name. He lives in Boulder. He's a 3-time CEO who's had 3 exits, and he's an investor. He doesn't invest anymore, so don't ask for it. He's like, I'm too old for that, forget it. And his last two were like a home run and a grand slam, so he's done. But Dave would say, this is what he wants when he's an investor. You've studied a problem closer than anyone else in the market, and you know something that others do not. If he's getting on the phone with you, that's what he thinks. Michael knows something that no one else knows about CAD, and Michael and his team, they are the people to talk to, not only in the US, but maybe in the world. You have secret insights. You know what failed, and you know what's gonna work. And you've identified a gap or an overlooked opportunity, right? As an investor, this is what he wants to see. So your approach, your differentiator, it might be your differentiator, it might be your approach, might be your GTM strategy, right? The Chili Palooza or something like that. You know how to capture customers that other people don't. Or like the tag guys, they saw a huge need for Procter & Gamble, and that's like really rare to sell to an enterprise company and get a pilot. Like, this shit doesn't happen very often. Dave Rams, so an investor and a founder, that framework is really important. Did I miss anything? Any questions about this framework? Like, so I mean, I really think he's come to town. The Capital Factories have met guys that met with him several times. I would say at this stage, founder-led sales stage, this is what he's the type of angel investor you would want, because he's been a CEO so many times, and he started a company out of college, and he got lucky at 28, got bought by private equity, and then he stayed another 10 years. Like, he does have a really good lens for what people are looking for. Yes, sir.
The only thing I will point out there is the Dunning-Kruger effect, in which...
You want to explain that?
The Dunning-Kruger effect, it is the curve of learning, and usually it's the relationship between confidence and knowledge. Usually the way it goes is that when you're starting to learn a subject, let's say 10% of the subject, you feel like you're the big shot. And then when you're 20 to 30%, you start getting depressed because you say, oh my goodness, I don't know enough, and it takes a long time until you actually become an expert. The item of you being studying a problem that is most closely than the market, and people assume that you know something that others don't, the key there is that true? Do you actually know something others don't? Which is, I think, the failure mode of many startups, at least in my short experience, in which you think your research is solid enough, yet it's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the bet, right? And I'll give y'all an example. There's a guy that some of y'all might have met, that we met through the class, maybe at the beginning. He's a guy, he worked at Tesla, and Tesla, you know, Elon's vision was to be vertically integrated, and he led the cathode division. Cathodes make batteries, right? You need cathodes and anodes. And so he was like, Tesla's got endless money, they just want to fund this shit. And he was like, there's better ways to do it. So he raised some money, I introduced him to Dave. You know, full transparency, we're advisors and we're small stockholders in the company. But the thing is what's interesting is that as the market has evolved, he's gotten more conviction, and we would say he's more right. Because now today we have all of these tariffs, right? And 99% of cathodes come from China. So he's like, we have a way to make them here in Austin, and make them so you don't have to get the precursors from China. And now Tesla's talking to us about doing an R&D project, Toyo Ventures talking to us. So I'd say, yeah, he was like a really smart, confident 29-year-old. And as time went on, we'd say the market sort of came to his vision and he was right. That doesn't always happen, right? Could have gone the other way. So you gotta have, part of this is you gotta have timing. You do have to know, and part of it is you gotta be gutsy. Like also, he learned more as he went on than we learned with him. So that's one example. Okay, system 1 versus system 2. Has everyone heard this, or is this new to people?
Condon, right?
That's right, yeah, that's right. So Chili's, back to Chili's. Chili's is fast decisions, familiar, low cognitive load. It's an easy decision to make. It's half your brain, system 1. The other half, food trucks, slower decisions, requires justification, higher perceived risk. This is where we fit in, right? Any founder, any startup, we fit in here. What we sell, legal AI, everyone's here. Because we're selling to general, what are they called?
General counsel.
We're selling to general counsel. We're selling to CLOs, chief legal officers. We're selling to COOs, CFOs. This is generally where founders are selling. So again, here's the clarity word. You gotta move them from confusion to clarity. I say this because, here's the book, he nailed it, right? The economist, he got the Nobel Prize. He's no longer alive, but it's a great book. Then there are 4 types of buyers, okay? If you're selling to marketing, it's great. If you're selling to CMOs, VP of marketing, they're logical, they're fast thinkers, they're goal-oriented, quick decision. If you're good, you can win a lot of 50, 100K deals like that. That's the people you're selling to. Yellows, fast thinkers, emotional. Who's our emotional woman? Sasha? What's her name? Sophia. Sophia. They're emotional, they must feel good. This is a different type. The color is yellow. A lot of people probably have heard the colors, right? Or is this new? Greens, they're slow to act, they value relationships, what other thing? So they're probably not accountants. Here's our accountants, here's our lawyers, here's our engineers. Blues, methodical, logical, slow. As a startup, as a founder, most likely you're selling down here. Most likely. Although Jessica in the back, she could sell to any one of these colors, right? It's different with emotions, right? System 1 versus system 2. It's something to think about, because if you're in the legal AI space, you're selling to accountants, you're selling to tax people, all of that's gonna be a slow decision-making process. Do you wanna add anything?
No.
Okay, and this is to the Stanford professor that I was talking about earlier. He said you're selling a product. I don't think you're selling a product. I don't think any one of us are selling a product. You're teaching people how to think, right? You gotta reframe their problem, and you gotta make the new solution seem obvious. So if I talk with Carson, I talk about the battery guy, he'd be like, okay, let's say if you buy from China, this is what you're gonna pay, and this is what you don't know. Versus you wanna have transparency, and you want a better price, and you walk through that. And so if you're someone like Black & Decker, it's now Stanley Black & Decker, they'd be like, yeah, we want a partner like you guys. So you gotta frame it right, how they're gonna think, right, and make it seem obvious. Does that make sense? It's not, it sounds easy, it's not that easy. Like this is where you spend a lot of time on messaging, evolving that messaging, and make sure the market values that messaging. You wanna add anything?
I feel like the teaching the buyer how to think is an interesting one. I guess you are teaching them how to think about what you're selling, but you're trying to figure out how they think as well. I don't know.
Well, let's use an example with legal AI, okay? So let's say you guys own a PE company, right? PE company, private equity, and you buy stuff. You guys buy healthcare companies, regional healthcare companies. So let's say you buy Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tacoma, Washington. This is all hypothetical. So first thing you do with legal AI, in that either that pre-acquisition phase or post-acquisition phase, you have to study all the contracts. So the old way that would happen is you'd get a dozen of lawyers, maybe in New York, Chicago, you'd have a couple of partners, you'd have some lawyers with maybe 10, 15 years experience, some junior lawyers, they're studying all the contracts, they're reading them, they're working 12 hours a day, because this is a $100 million buy. They're trying to alleviate the risk, they're trying to find out the liabilities, they're trying to find out if there's any hidden value, right? That's the job. It's costing a shitload of money, and they're doing it 7 days a week for a month to try to do it within the 30 days. Now all of a sudden, someone's got a product called Legal AI. That's not the actual name, but then the AI models can do that for you and do it really quickly and do it better than the lawyers, right? They could create workflows, they could streamline that, and all of a sudden, like, versus hiring all those lawyers, they could do it without the stress. And then now you need a new type of person, like a data scientist, who reads that data, works with maybe 1 or 2 lawyers, and then really quickly, in a matter of weeks, can say, oh wow, this company's not as risky as we thought. Wow, they have more value than we thought. And there's actually, anyway, you get it. So it seems obvious, you reframed it, and you taught them how to think, right? It's a really good use case for AI. Cause you could do the math on each partner, probably costs $1,000 an hour, they're each probably gonna spend 2 hours a day on that. The junior partner, the junior mid lawyers, maybe it's 400, and the junior lawyers, maybe it's 200. So you just do that math and be like, it doesn't make sense versus using a legal AI model, right? Seems obvious. And then if the people who built the model will be like, it's 95% accurate, and if it's not, we're not gonna give you data unless it's 95% accurate. Who's sold? Just one? Just one person is sold, really? Is everyone sold? Is everyone convinced?
Yeah.
I got 2, okay, whatever, are you convinced? No? Okay, thanks, I appreciate that. 3 people.
Can I just ask a question? And you know, I'm a management consultant, so I'm selling the service. So it's all about messaging, and I need to teach my client that whatever I'm gonna do or deliver to them, you know, and I need to walk them through the journey and reframe the problem that there's an existing problem. Here's the analysis. This is what we're gonna do to be able, you know, to get a solution. But usually the solution, it's the end products for me. It's the deliverables. And usually, you know, from a client perspective, sometimes just, you know, he doesn't have, it's all about the trust, as you mentioned. It's all about the messaging. But, you know, the idea of the final product that you're gonna deliver, that's pretty much the last week when you say, you know what, here's your issue, here's the analysis, here's the solution we're thinking about it, whether, you know, it's a go-to-market strategy, whether, you know, there's certain things related to churn that we need to solve. How would you think, you know, from introducing yourself to a customer, especially a new customer who still haven't built a trust to until you deliver that, how would you kind of position the messaging to make sure he's comfortable enough through the journey? Because most of these work, you know, it's a 2 or 3 months project.
Yeah, at least I'm sure. We sell outcomes first, right? We sell what we can do. So we sell case studies, we sell the past work, we sell the past successes, right? So that's what we're doing, and so, and hopefully you have great expertise within that vertical. So let's say the vertical is, you know, batteries, and batteries made in the US or something like that with battery materials. So they really want that core competency, they want your knowledge of the space, they want how, you know, you framed previous case studies. So maybe you found cost savings of over 100 million, maybe you created new revenue streams, all of that, right? That's the idea. So that's where I would start. That would be my starting framework, and then I'd go from there. Anything to add to that?
I think that's good. I'm still kind of trying to, I think like one thing that, and maybe it's part of it, teaching the buyer how to think. I think it's understanding how a buyer currently works, right? And, or what a buyer is currently doing, how they currently think, before you teach them how to think. Like, I don't know, there is that discovery component that I think is like critical to those steps there. And before you can start teaching somebody anything, you have to learn about them.
Yeah.
And some of the things that they're doing, so that you can start building a case around.
I like that.
A better
I agree with
approach
that.
to thinking.
I agree with that. You were gonna say something?
Is this more like showing them how to look at the problem and how to look at your solution, like it's the obvious one, like, okay, well, look at it from this angle? Or is it more like teaching them, like more like long term, like this is, like teaching them about a new market, for example?
Well, let's take tech, and let's take the example of tech. So at the time, 16 years ago, that was really a new thing. That was as new as Claude, right? So it's like talking about Claude AI today. There wasn't a better way. The solutions on the market kind of sucked, and no one was doing the really in-depth analysis that was really nuanced. And so these guys were like, look, as data scientists that are in university, they're like, here's what we would want the models to be doing, and so this is what we're doing. So we're drinking from the fire hose, as Twitter called it at that time. We're pulling all the data, we're quickly, you know, collapsing that data and telling the story that's relevant to the right brand. In this case, Procter & Gamble, in this case, particularly to whatever it's called, the dishwashing unit, and specific for this particular product. And so I think if it's tech and it's leading tech, then you could be like, well, no one else on the market is doing this. but this is obviously where the market's going. And so if no one else is doing it, then you're really curious to talk to those folks. So I think that's.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that's and that's what I was talking about sort of with the legal AI use case. Like if no one else is doing it, and the other way is the old school way, of course everyone wants to test it. So I'm using that tech example because we're here at the Capital Factory. Most of the startups here, there's a lot of AI startups, but there's a lot of primarily tech startups. Like you don't see, there's no one developing the next Nike here, right? At least if they're here, we haven't met them. That'd be cool, but I don't think they're here. They'd probably be in Oregon or Seattle. I don't know where the shoe market is in the US. Do they know? Any shoe dogs here? That was the name of the book. Phil Knight's book was Shoe Dog. You read it?
Yeah.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
It's a stellar book.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. So the same thing if we were gonna talk mountain bikes or anything like that, like you gotta be in that hub, in that land of those folks, and then you really know those buyers. One thing I'll say is like, we both go to a fair amount of trade shows. When you go to a trade show with all those people, and Dave and I went with Carson to the battery show in Detroit, that's where you know, generally within the first half day, is your solution the right solution for the market? Are people interested? Is your story close enough or relevant to the buyers? And if it's not, you better hone it really quickly, but that's when Dave and I were like, oh shit, this guy's a winner. This guy, it's like, if you join a, I don't know, softball team, baseball team, whatever, they call it a ringer, you know right away if someone's a ringer within that industry, when you go to that show. That's the thing, so. Okay, I'm gonna go on real quick.
Is that?
Go ahead, what are you gonna say?
There's a movie called The Ringer, and I was wondering if it was named after that.
I haven't seen it, I don't know, so when you graduate to the Chili's, when you're no longer the food truck, your messaging's landing all the time. The buyers understand quickly your value, right? All of this is become kind of obvious, and you don't need the founder as much. That's hard, so you really have jumped to one of these stages, but it's super, it's a big deal. It doesn't happen right away. So
we're currently in the early process of transitioning through that.
That's great. I mean, it's hard, right? So the whole question is like, if you remove the founder, can deals close? That's really when you know that you've done it. Yes, sir.
What are the signals that you could look at to realize it? And that's one, right? The question there. That you realize that you're starting to be able to get to a sales-led, away from a founders-led sales and towards a system.
Well, I mean, most likely, you're in one of these stages. You've hired a VP of sales or a CRO, and they're teaching everyone, hey, this is how we do disco, this is our methodology, this is how we get leads, this is what they look like. All of that sales motion is really well defined. This is the deck, right? All of that this is how we practice, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, right? So all of that's very well defined, and you don't need the founder. Now the founder can go out and raise more money. Maybe the founder's trying to get a strategic partner, maybe the founder wants to sell. I mean, it's a big thing, and so some products it's hard, like really hard, right? But that is the idea. Most founders are, they're trying to do it. So the fourth example we were talking about was a company called Pincus, started by two ladies, they're sisters. One's a lawyer, one came out of Meta and product development, and they looked at, this is in legal AI, but with redlining. They looked at the redlining space and said, this is dumb. It's silly that there's not an AI tool. So they created one. They raised $3 million. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough money. And over 3 years, they just had an exit, just a few months ago. They exited somewhere between 10 and $20 million. We heard it was a cash offer, which is unbelievable. So they had a 3x to 6x exit, two sisters. So one of the sisters was basically doing founder-led sales for the first 2 years. She was doing it all. And so a guy we worked with knows her, her name was Sonia, and he was like, that's unbelievable. So she really learned, like, what's the motion? She was talking about, well, as a lawyer, here's the problem. If I get a SaaS contract, it's 30 pages. She was like, I could easily spend 2 hours on it. It's still gonna take a lot of time. Here's the problem. Here's how SaaS companies are trying to screw the buyer. And they have these sections. So here's how I'm gonna defend my client. So she talked all about this, about redlining. So she has a tool, and she's like, our tool can do this in 2 minutes. And so anyway, so she had that conviction of the lawyer. She knew the pain points. And so she sold it to big companies. She sold to companies with revenues $100 million. Why not? Like, and if you go to the website, look at the Wayback Machine before, now it goes to the company that they bought, that sold it, that they sold to, you would see it was her and her sister talking about, well, I was a lawyer for 10 years, this is what I did. The other one, you know, it's a product development, and blah, blah, blah. And so you knew right away, like, okay, and then you looked at their investors and you're like, okay, these are first-class investors. This is a first-class team. They built the trust, the confidence right away. You know Pinkish, you know the sisters?
No, I'm just seeing one little edit that I could suggest to your slide.
Go ahead, feel free.
So that last part, it says if no, instead of you're still a food truck, just say, replace you are still a food truck with call Michael.
Okay.
On that, gentleman, sorry to go back to the ideal customer profile. What I listened to that is that lady, the attorney lady, she was the client. And because she was the ideal customer for that particular solution, she was able to find other customers just like her and drive because she would speak the language and she would be able to educate in their own language, which ties back to
That's right.
to know who's your client.
Absolutely, and it's the same thing with Carson. Since Carson was at Tesla leading the cathode division, you could easily say, why doesn't Tesla just stop doing this if it's a loss? Why don't they buy from someone like Carson? So he knows both sides. That's kind of the perfect either founder or co-founder. That person who's been on both sides of the equation, it's really nice. If not, you know, let's say if they hire someone like us, and like if I have to be the co-pilot for the founder, but let's say I don't have the experience as a neurologist, as a doctor, I don't know the stuff about brainwaves. I can study it, I can learn, but I don't have that first-hand experience. If we can teach someone like Abby how to do the sales motion, how to message that, how to sell it, she's gonna be more powerful than anyone else. She knows the problem. Maybe she has a personal experience, right? Same thing with Sophie, same thing, anyone's ideas here, right? That's generally like, that's the beauty of it. The founder has a lot of power. It's sort of like, how do you mine that gold?
That's very smart.
That it's the story, it's telling it in a compelling way. Yeah, all of that. Okay, so key takeaway, win like food truck. I really think I said this in my email if you got it yesterday, we're in this weird stage for go-to-market where everything looks like a sea of boringness, a sea of sameness. It's because of AI, it's because of chat, it's because of Claude, it's because of Perplexity. You wanna be that unique food truck, you really do. You've gotta do something different, and you gotta really stand out. Then you can scale like Chili's, but I encourage people to really do that. Take that, seems like a risk, it's not a big risk. So I'm curious with anyone's product today, that you have a product, do you feel like, are you a food truck? Are you ready to scale? Like, who wants to talk about where they're at? Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I'm a food truck. It's very manual. Like I'll go to a coffee shop, I'll talk to people and put it on. I feel like on the technical side, I'm not ready to scale just because it's heavy on the machines. There's like a lot of optimizations I need to do. It's like a large product. Potentially need to dial in a little bit more. You know, that will reduce the footprint automatically, and it'll allow me to, you know, identify a more precise ICP. I'm just talking out loud here.
No, it's good. These are good. Michael, where are you guys? So are you at Chili stage now?
No, we're transitioning. One of the things that you asked earlier, what kind of signs there are that you might be able to have founders step aside from sales calls. there's many signs that start accumulating around that time. One of the things I would recommend is if you think that you can possibly have the founders step away and you think you can maybe close the sale, you should try it and start getting feedback and start iterating on that. And if you find out you're not ready, then have the founders do some more sales. But if you can start leading, now it's a little dangerous because you're risking sort of potentially losing a client. But you have to balance that risk.
I mean, one thing I would do, like if Michael hypothetically hired me and Michael's the co-founder, I'd want to create a new email address like Michael's. Maybe it's just MB, are those your initials?
Yeah, MB.
Okay, so maybe it's MB at the company, and then I would run it, he could look at it, and I would message out to people so they think I'm Michael, because I know how to win a lot of clients, and so maybe I would do stuff, run his LinkedIn, run his outbound, and then invite him to meetings. So try to do the heavy lifting under his name. So that works, that can work really well, and then he can have the option, and he can say, oh, Michael's coming, we do a lot of these calls together, and I can Slack him and be like, you can skip this one, or get your ass in here, over Slack and Zoom and stuff like that. So anyway, it all works, but that stuff's really effective. He's right, you don't want those conversions to drop. You want to watch that data closely, but that's when that's how you can try to jump to these phases. But people that, you hear these startups and they say, we're doing 1,000 demos a year right now, right? Unfreaking believable. These are generally companies that are selling some product that's like $250 to $500 a month. So if they hit the right marketing motion and they, really hit it, something goes viral, they're gonna get that. So that's a lot. So then you start splitting, that's when you can see, what are Michael's conversions versus mine? And can everyone be the same? The founders should be the best. They should be. Doesn't always happen. In the case of the two women, the sisters, that lawyer, she just learned the motion. I have no doubt that she could beat anyone that they hired, because she had the talk track, she was the lawyer, she knew all the examples. Okay, so the next one, that's what we're talking about. I think we can go on to that. And I think we sort of covered that. The why this problem exists, it's always, with anything, like digging deep into that why is huge. Objection handling, are people interested in this? Do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear an example? Do you want to go on the spot? People,
Yes.
okay, yes. So, let's do it together, and then other people, and then you guys can do it together too, publicly, and then we'll do it with someone else too. Yeah, we're public speaking, this is a thing. This is what we do. So, let's say, stand up, get your ass over here. Take your polo ball.
I like that, where'd you get that?
My kids, they had it in the car, and I just brought it in here. It bounces really well. Okay, so let's say you're with a PE company that hires all these lawyers in New York, and you really like the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
And I'm selling this new model. Where do we start? You're very skeptical.
Why would I want to change something that's working already?
How much is it costing you, Jorge? How much is it costing you a month?
To keep going the way things are going right now?
Yeah, like it's gotta be like $250,000 a month, right, or more. I was doing the math, like, if a partner is at $750 an hour, if someone with 15 years experience is at $400 an hour, if the new people out of law school are at like $150 to $175 an hour, and you have a dozen people, and they're working 10, 12 hours a day, it's gotta be really costly. Why keep going that way?
The reason is because all those people, they have a lot of knowledge, and sure, they're expensive, and the way the work is, it's really, costly work, but at the end of the day, I can turn to one of those people anytime and get really key data out of them. So it's like, can I do that with your product?
Well, can I ask, are there ever mistakes? Like, don't you worry about when they're working past 6 o'clock at night and you're bringing in dinner, that they're gonna make silly mistakes late at night?
I guess so, and sometimes I worry about mistakes, and I think that there have been mistakes that have cost us money, but I think the hardest thing for me to kind of wrap my head around is that knowledge base, and you know, I'm thinking about hiring another person. Certainly it's gonna be somewhere close to $250,000 a year, but the way that we're operating, it's hard to imagine a solution being able to give me that same knowledge base that person's gonna be able to bring on. And that's what I need at the end of the day, smart people who are gonna be able to make really good decisions. And how does your solution solve for that?
Yeah, I mean, here's the challenge that I don't understand is that, let's say there's 12 lawyers from what I understand, doing all this due diligence, it takes a month, they're working around the clock for a month because this is a huge acquisition. They have to get it done in 30 days, right? Because that's the key trigger point in the post-acquisition phase. And the problem is 12 people, they're not all reading the same contracts. They're reading different contracts. And what an AI model can do quickly is it could scan 5,000 contracts really quickly. Doesn't matter if they're 20 pages to 500 pages. And then we're matching all of that data, and all of a sudden we can match sections like limitations of liability. Limitations of liability. What about warranties? What about indemnification? What about force majeure? We're comparing all of those, and then we're looking at it by category. We can get down to the insurance level. We can find savings. And I don't see how 12 lawyers do that manually for a month versus legal AI models where we've done it again and again. And it keeps getting faster and faster. And the accuracy, 95% is more accurate than humans.
Is there a way to take all of that information and create like one summary of all my contract data?
We can create a summary of the 5,000 contracts. We could also segment it by different categories. So maybe the company that you bought sounds like they operate in the US, Mexico, and Canada. We could separate it by 3 countries. We could also separate it by products and by division. And we do all that quickly. I just don't understand how humans beat that, especially at the cost of $250,000 a month, when our cost is a fraction of that. Would you like to try it for a month on your next acquisition?
Sure.
Daniel and I also have an improv troupe.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, can I just throw something? I'm part of the due diligence team because I do a lot of the M&A and PMIs.
Are you a lawyer?
No, I'm a finance. So
Okay,
the biggest thing from a financing perspective, you know, I've just closed the deal, and one of the biggest things is, you know, the banks, because you do, you know, let's say 50% equity, 50% financing, they need the firm, they need the rubber stamp of a firm. So I love the idea, I understand, you know, the benefit out of it, but the reason is sometimes from psychological perspective, you still have certain entities such as the banks who's providing the funding, they will not accept anything related to AI. They still want humans with a rubber stamp, big firm, to be able to say, you know what, this is acceptable. But that's for me still the challenge.
So here's the market values right now today. You're right, the market values humans. So what people are doing is they're saying, let's do both. Let's have you guys analyze the 5,000 contracts. Let's have you guys give us that data quickly. We're still gonna have the humans, and then we want, but then what they realize is they need different types of humans. So, because it used to be that you would have a lot of lawyers who are experts in due diligence. Now what the next phase of this, as you could see, as you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer and an AI engineer, but how do we get data scientists to think that might replace the lawyers or might work with the lawyers? You could sort of see the next phase of this in the next 5 years, but people are doing both right now. And they're seeing, so what AI companies were originally charging, those prices, because that was the either or, they don't want to do the either or, so you're right. Especially the conservative New York type of due diligence buyers. So you nailed it, and that's where we are. Yes, sir.
Well, it just sounds like you're using AI to augment, to help junior lawyers pose as superior expert lawyers. Pose is a wrong word, that's got a negative connotation.
I mean, I would say, it's all about the analysis. Like, we're specializing in healthcare, so within healthcare, due diligence sucks, especially if it was a Blue Cross Blue Shield. And there's all these reasons for compliance and regulation. You could buy a lemon for maybe $500 million and it would suck, so you wanna know right away, and then you could say, this has got far less value than you said, and we see all these problems, here's why. So you want the models to do it, and it's not necessarily replacing a junior lawyer. Like, the analysis is pretty heavy duty, because it's hitting to risk and value. Yeah.
I have a question. You argumented actually about how to replace the lawyers, and you always talk about, yeah, but it's my good people and I rely on them. Wouldn't it be a better option to say, the AI makes you lawyers, your people a pass-through? It's making food job, but you need the experts to see if it's reasonable in the end. So actually that's
basically where the market is now.
So for architect actually doing, the AI is doing the job, the hand job, but I have to review it if it's reasonable, otherwise it will make, it would suck. So it's, so that's actually my experience, so I don't know how is it in lawyer things.
Yeah. Well, I would say, in the US, like, you're speaking from a European perspective?
No, general.
General, okay. In the US, he's from Germany, he's here for a month, learning and stuff about the Austin startup community, which is cool. In the US, we would say with the AI community, the way it's landing is, it's an and it's basically, there's a human in the loop. So people, yes, they want the AI models for efficiency, and yes, they want the humans to verify it. They're not ready to let go of the lawyers, due diligence people, so it's very much an and, but then they expect that price to be reflective, because they're not, so anyway, they're kind of risk adverse. Yes, sir?
Without getting too nerdy on it.
You can get nerdy, this is perfect setting.
The nuance of the LLM, I was working on that problem in the morning, and is that the LLM is pretty good at grouping words that are together. But when you, and this happens on legal contracts every single day, when you have two words and you have an entire paragraph, but there's one word that changes the implications and the impact of that, the LLM is not going to pick that up. It may or may not, and that creates a legal liability. That's one of the main reasons why you have that assistant or co-pilot model, in which the attorney, which is the one that signs off, has the ultimate thing. I work for an insurance company. I was trying.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, and we have one of our vice presidents, this guy, who was head of compliance for BP. So he was there for like 10 years. They had a little spill in the Gulf, maybe you heard about it. And their biggest lawsuit was all about one frickin' word, that the way it was defined. So, you know, companies that have been around for a while and that started with, you know, the machine learning and language learning, and then they evolved to the AI model. We're past that, but that was an issue for some. I want to get to something else, because I want to do, I want to show this. Does everyone know Scrub Daddy? No? Who doesn't know Scrub Daddy? Okay, haven't got to Germany yet. You live in Austin?
Yeah, I do, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So we're gonna show this video. So this is a guy who is really on Shark Tank. He was really, he's a founder, he's from Philadelphia. It's a B2C product, but it's very different. And it's in the sponge market. Sponges are boring. They've been the same for like 50 or 60 years, maybe longer. This is a sponge for your kitchen. So it's only a 60-second pitch. I want you to watch how he frames it. I want you to say what works and what doesn't. This is the beginning. This guy, when he's on, he's here. And he ends up going way up there. Like, the company today is worth like 700 million. 700 million sales, so the valuation's much higher, right? He's here, and he's offering a huge chunk of the company. Everyone ready? Take notes. So I want everyone to answer, like, what are the 3 things he does really well as a founder? Or do you not buy it? Do you think he's full of shit?
This is Pocket.
I
never go anywhere without it. At the tap of a button, it records and creates organized notes based on your conversations.
Okay.
First into the Shark Tank is Aaron Krause, who believes his product will make everyday cleaning easier.
Hi Sharks, I'm Aaron Krause from Philadelphia, and I'm known as the daddy
of the Scrub Daddy, the cutest but most high-tech scrubbing tool in the world. Today, I'm seeking a $100,000 investment in exchange for 10% equity in the Scrub Daddy business. It's the greatest kitchen scrubbing tool you ever used because Scrub Daddy completely changes its texture by just adjusting your water temperature. Let me show you how that works. Here I've got some hot water, here I've got some cold water. When I immerse the Scrub Daddies in the hot and cold water, a complete transformation occurs. Now, to show you that, I've got 10-pound weights. Here, under the 10 pounds, it's soft and compressible, and that's like a sponge. That's for your general scrubbing applications. But here, check that out. It's hard and firm. That's gonna be for heavy-duty scrubbing applications. We turned on brown and gravy, tomato sauce, cheese, and mustard onto a glass stovetop and a stainless steel pan. I'm gonna take the Scrub Daddy, and you're gonna see it's just gonna attack right into that burned-on mess, scrubbing it right off. And remember, I'm just using water here. There's no chemicals at all, and it's gonna cut right through that. It won't scratch any of your surfaces, but it will clean them beautifully. Now, Scrub Daddy's not really smiling anymore, so I'm gonna put him here in the warm water, and in just a couple seconds, voila. He's back to bright, fresh, and clean every time. Sharks, that's not just another smiling face. You put it on your hand, you can get to the bottom and clean the sides in one move. And that smiling mouth, that cleans spoons, knives, forks, spatulas, even large serving spoons on both sides at the same time. Sharks, with your help, Scrub Daddy will be scrubbing and smiling in every kitchen in the world. Woo!
Wow.
Wow.
Scrub.
Okay. Huh? Yeah, it's real, and like I said, so he was at the beginning, he was asking $100,000 for 10% of the company. He wasn't at $1 million yet. The problem he had, and the reason he went on like super strategic guy, is that he lacked distribution. So he really wanted, there's one particular Shark Tank investor who was very well connected to like Home Depot, Target, Lowe's, all of that. And he got her as an investor, and once he flipped the switch on distribution, it shot up. That was really key. And so it's not about, we're not here to talk about the growth strategy and how he leveraged Shark Tank. But I'm curious, as a story, as a framework from a real founder who went from under $1 million to 700 million, what was it what was he using as part of his messaging framework as he was telling that story that worked? You gotta be quiet there. Yeah, Abby, you go first.
So I'd say when he starts by saying it's like the most innovative sponge, it's like I'm immediately met with doubt, and then it was immediately overcome by the demonstration of the product. So it was like he almost said something so audacious that I was like, is it really? And then after that he proved like, no, it actually is something that, you know, you wouldn't expect out of a sponge. So
But everybody's doubting him also. I mean, if you go through the rest
Everyone's
of the video,
doubting.
except Barbara, because I mean it's her best investment in the Shark Tank.
I think it's Lori.
It's
who does it,
Lori,
right?
sorry, yeah.
Lori. She's the QVC lady.
she's-
But,
it's the best
what is it? Go ahead. Yeah.
From a psychology point of view, he's selling a physical product, and he went and had a physical demonstration of the product right there live. Someone else would have gone and explained and have a long conversation about the thing without actually using it. He proved it. If they were doubting it, within 60 seconds, there was no more doubt. It was clear that the thing worked.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. When you like, it is 60 seconds. Like it was so tight. It wasn't perfect, but it's a damn good pitch. Yes.
So I think what Abby and he said both are accurate, but I think there's one thing that they're missing that's zeroing on is the element of surprise. And when you really capture somebody's attention and change their opinion, you have to surprise them. It goes back to if anybody's read the Challenger sale. Okay, cool. So maybe they got it. But the moment that he took that 10-pound weight and put it on a sponge and it looked like it was on a brick, everybody's like, what the hell is going on with that sponge? And so it's got their attention and changed the perspective.
Yeah, I totally agree. We had, I'll give this real quick, and I want to go back to company. We had lunch with a guy who's a major executive at Apollo, ApolloDay.io. It's a SaaS marketing sales tool. And the guy said that he's like, here's our trick. Here's what we do. We get on a demo, and in the first 10 minutes, we're trying to create an aha moment, like your jaw drop because of the two sponges on there. Because that's all we're trying to do. So what we do is we take their data, they tell us the problem they're having with their data, we solve that, and we send them an email with the answer. And they're like, holy shit, and that's it. That's what, if you know clay.com, that's what clay.com was doing in the early days, those founder days. That's part of the framework that works so well. Anyone else? So I'm gonna snap out of this, I'm gonna go back to the deck. So he made the pain really clear, right? So again, those tag guys, if we go back to that, they could have done that too. He showed the outcome, he didn't tell you, he showed the outcome. Real concrete evidence, and it was very specific goal that he had, right? He wanted access. So this is all founder-led sales behavior. I know that's a B2C example, but it definitely applies. The fact that Clay does it, the fact that the tag guys do it, there's a lot of people. That's when you know your food truck model, as you're selling today, is going really well. You guys, looking at you, Jenna and Angus, if y'all were doing that, if you had a specific small business with a very specific problem, maybe it is nonprofits, and then you show them, they give you the data before the meeting and they show you how it's solved. There was two guys in New York who created a business, and these two guys, they knew each other from college. They basically cobbled together, let's say $20,000, not much. And this was like 4 years ago, so before AI really took off. And their whole thing was, we could get anyone a bunch of interviews on podcasts. And so they basically indexed all the podcasts out there. So you could say, they could take you and say, oh, you're a developer. Oh, you're this type of developer. So they put in all of your qualifications, they get your resume, they get your LinkedIn profile beforehand. Then you meet with them, and before then, they've had their database do work, and they meet with you and say, we found 10 shows that you should be on. Here's the list. And by the way, we've already crafted emails, so again, like what AI is doing. We've already crafted emails, this is who they would go to, this is how we would pitch you, and here, you could have them and you could get on. We'll give you the first 2 weeks for free, you could use the tool. So anyway, they took off. Those were the guys, one of many companies I know where they were doing 1,000 demos a year, right? So it's basically consistently like 4 or 5 a day. And so, but that was their whole model. They would take the problem, show you the answer right away. That's the sales motion. So, we do stories here. We love stories here. From everyone, we love stories. And so, the problem could be, it's gotta be original and true to you, right? So, if it's, so for instance, Abby's gonna tell her story, and it might be, she's gonna say how she found out about this problem, right? And then how she worked to solve it. Or Sophia might do the same thing, Jenna and Angus might get up and do the same thing. The 4 U's of product also apply in storytelling, right, for founders. It's urgent, unavoidable, underserved market, unworkable. Are those new to anyone? Has everyone heard those? So that's from a product standpoint, but for a founder, it's really helpful in a story. No one else is doing this. This is an so I'll use a buddy of mine who, he's now in the, he developed a POS machine for bodegas. Bodegas are in New York, right? In the 5 boroughs, they're everywhere, right? What's the problem? Most bodegas have what's called a dumb POS machine, like Square, really ineffective. So he created a smart POS based on AI. Most bodegas might carry any one of 50,000 SKUs. So now all of a sudden, his thing comes preloaded with all SKUs. It's just got to select what they want. Then now all of a sudden, because he's got so many bodegas in the 5 boroughs, it can tell you how everyone else is priced. So it can tell you, you're underpricing this Sponge Daddy. You have it priced at $3.25. Everyone else has it priced at $4.75. You should raise your price. So it gives you all this stuff about pricing promos, so instantly you can make money. It's a high ROI. That is an underserved market, and that's an urgent problem. Bodegas do on average $2 to $3 million a year. He's getting quick market share really fast. The 4 U's, okay? The 4 U's. If your story has that, people see it, it's gonna sell. And then you want to educate. So who would like to try to do a founder story? We could have Jessica or Michael. Y'all been here before. If y'all want to go again, you can. We'd love that. You ready, Jessica?
I think he is.
Huh?
I think you sent him with that Michael over there, no?
Yeah, that Michael. But I meant you or Mike? No? You're gonna pass today?
I know. Thank you.
Okay.
No.
Michelle Baird, do you wanna go first?
Melissa, sure, I can do that.
So you would come up here.
Okay.
And you would present, and you can take 60 to 90 seconds.
All right.
And tell us your story. If you can use the 4 U's, it's great. That's sort of the framework, but similar to the Scrub Daddy and like the framework we were using. And if you want, we could videotape you and then send it back to you.
I'm good. For property management urgency in New Zealand. So I am an organic farmer. My first company was selling direct to consumer, and I then tried to scale my business from 1 farm to 5 farms. And I worked out that that meant I could no longer actually have a premium product because I had to organize all 5 farms into one, and the common denominator was basically it's beef. So my story got lost. And ever since then, I've worked out kind of like why we can't have nice things as consumers in the supermarket, because I moved to New Zealand and I realized at scale, at the aggregation level, you can't actually separate these attributes at scale. So how that results in challenge for premium food companies, there's actually no premium supply chain. It's only a commodity supply chain, and there's people trying to do premium inside of that. But there's no farmers putting up their hand going like, I sell high CLA meat, or I'm organic, or I'm regenerative. There is no list. And there's lots of intermediaries. And so it becomes a really challenge, high manual labor, lots of operational inefficiencies. And then what that means is you can't get the supply to meet your demand. So as people start to become super aware of their challenges and their desires to be fit and healthy, that market is growing 2 to 3 times, and the supply just isn't meeting that. So if we can just go and find you the farms that you can likely convert, and also find you the supply that meets your attributes, verify that with research. And we've got 1,800 research articles that we've now structured into a data set that you can use to make legal claims about human health.
So it's a discovery tool.
Yeah, and then a verified sort of.
Beautiful. And that's how you met Christine Root.
Yeah, well, I met her long before we kind of got to this level, but it was sort of in that,
wow.
like, how do we turn regen into something cool and sexy?
Yeah, that's awesome. And where are you today with the business?
So now we're actually working, we're a little bit in finding kind of like, how do we turn this, we've got really quite a significant capability, and we've kind of worked out that no one else is doing what we're doing around agriculture data, so using kind of AML type technology and trend spotting to pull agriculture data together that's super unstructured. So we're kind of that's cool. Banks seem to be the ones that might pay the most because they don't have a leading indicator of risk. And so what that means is they have to hold a lot of money around probability for default, different to their commercial model. So there's like a real kind of pain point there. My heart is with food and health, and I would really like to be able to like sort of change the outcome for humans and be able to precision prescribe kind of now that functional foods and precision nutrition is kind of coming to the fore. How do I take your wheat data and turn it into something that you can utilize in your shopping experience is kind of the ultimate goal.
Yeah. I have some food finance guys that you should talk to that are here. That, yeah, that's their whole specialty, food finance.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, any questions for Melissa? That was great. That was really good. Well done. Abby, do you want to go next?
I can go next.
Come on, Abby.
Sure, come on. I'll do my best.
The only way we all get better is by this type of practice. Like, seriously, so.
So, my name is Abby, and I'm the founder of Captivate. And we're building an EEG headset that reads your brainwaves and then gives a vibration when you get distracted. So a few years ago, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and when I started looking for treatment, I tried medication, and it was super effective, but the side effects, especially the loss of appetite, were detrimental to me. So I decided to start looking at alternatives, and I found out about a therapy called neurofeedback that trains you on how to improve your attention span over time. And it was incredibly beneficial for me, but one of the things I noticed is none of the friends I had with ADHD or the people I knew had ever even heard of this treatment at all. So I started to
build this device so that way we can specifically help students and especially younger kids who are essentially on a timeline for how quickly they can improve and build better habits for their future. So that way they can help start to take control of their own attention and also give parents the kind of peace of mind that they need about how they can help their kids more effectively. So there's a part of our app that's dedicated to gamifying self-improvement for the kids, so that way they can learn how to improve their own attention and take a little bit more agency back in their brains and how they work. And then there's a portion for the parents where they can get regular reports on how their kid is doing and access educational content. Because I think a lot of times, especially in the therapy spaces, parents are so focused on their kids, they forget that sometimes they need help too, and that they need to be supported as well. So we built a solution that's meant to tackle both sides of that problem.
Are you at pilot stage?
So right now we have our prototype. We started testing on adults because testing with kids is risky, so we're gonna do that first. Currently setting up manufacturing, starting pre-sales this year, like within the next 5 months, so yeah.
Did you raise money?
So we've gotten grants through ASU. I was an ASU student when I came up with the idea, so we were able to get $60,000 through their programs, and then from there we've been, with that money and also bootstrapping, taking us to our minimum product, and now we're setting up manufacturing for it.
And is your team still in Arizona, or?
Most of us. So there's
You haven't moved here yet?
Not yet. I'm exploring the areas. I'm gonna be spending some time in different cities, you know, seeing what the startup cultures are like everywhere else. So, but yeah, so there's a team of 5 of us. The psychologist that I went to for neurofeedback help is on the team. So he's an advisor on our device and design. Another biomedical engineer, an app developer, and a UX designer. And then my dad's an electrical engineer, so he lives here. So that's why I'm also visiting to finish up our PCB design, fine tune it.
That's awesome. That's great. Any questions for Abby?
When it comes to behavioral analysis and RBT, that's a lot of pretty much seems to me same thing that you're doing. It's just that you're solving people and the other ones are telling me don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same. Do you see yourself down the line trying to find some commonality with that type of therapy?
Yeah, so part of actually, this is like more or less stuff that we're kind of theorizing about, because some of this is we don't know necessarily how well it's going to be effective until we do our studies later this year. Part of the reason is because we have like a completely individualized model of attention for each person. So rather than relying on normalized data sets, we build your own baseline. And so those other types of therapies, a lot of them can be very effective, and there's a lot of complementary therapies. So one of the things we're exploring is actually having a page dedicated to products that are in similar spaces, but not exactly what our products are, that can be used to kind of, you know, choose your own adventure, choose your own treatments, to personalize it to each person. So a lot of our app and our design is focused on individualizing the process as much as possible, because personalized medicine is kind of the direction things are going in, and especially with brain health, it doesn't work like every other organ. You can't just like put a cast on a broken arm the same way that you can fix the brain. So we're moving towards that direction. So that's another thing we're thinking about too.
What's the telemetry you're getting from the device?
It's a EEG signal, so it's the electrical activity on the cortical surface of the brain.
Like how detailed of, like, let's say someone's state are you able to like
Got you. So can't pick out super detailed stuff. What EEGs are really good at are whole brain phenomena. So think emotional regulation stuff, attention, things that require like coordination between different parts of the brain. That's what EEGs are good at picking up. If it's super detailed, like there's some in-brain electrodes that can record specific words and those kind of signals, we can't do that. So very high level stuff.
Yeah, what does it do when you detect your drifting?
So it gives it a vibration. So it's like a little nudge.
So it's a nudge, but there's no enforcement, because I have ADHD as well. Right?
Yeah.
But like, I feel like those like reminders, all the pop-up reminders, all the phone reminders, they don't work at all. I just want
So yeah, this is actually something that we were concerned about, because we were thinking about what type of feedback to give when your attention drifts. It could be like a visual thing, it could have been audio, it could have been like notifications or whatever. But the reason we went with vibrations is because it doesn't interrupt the task you're currently doing. And since it's also on a headband and not a separate device, you feel it, but there's no way for you to kind of like reach towards it, change it, whatever. So the most important thing we're actually trying to build, more than just helping you sustain your attention longer is actually building an awareness of the drifting, because that's how you actually get better attention in the long run. It's just if you know that you're drifting and you can get that reinforcement, that awareness is what we're trying to trigger, so that way you can see those results.
So what does the device look like?
It's imagine like a Nike sweatband, like that kind of thing. So we're trying to, so it's kind of fun. We have like detachable electronics to it. So we're thinking about doing things like putting it on a cap, beanies. One person asked me for a do-rag, so that's an option as well. Yeah.
What's it called again?
The Captivate EEG is the name of the headset, and then our company is called Captivate. Here, yeah, go for it.
Is it like grabbing an electric fence when it zaps you?
No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't actually shock you or anything like that, but it is meant to be like not a negative reinforcement, but more or less just like an alert, if that makes sense. It's not.
I feel like every 7 seconds I just be going.
Yeah, we have a longer time stamp than 7 seconds, because that's something that I thought would irritate me too. Yeah.
So what's your pricing model, and your target market are kids?
Yes, so that's our starting market. Our actual go-to-market strategy is to start by selling to parents for the first bit, then go to tutoring centers as a way to sell to parents, essentially. So sell the device for them to use during tutoring sessions, enhance the performance during those, and then parents can choose whether or not they want to buy it at home. The pricing model, we're essentially selling our headset itself barely above our COGS, so like $85. And then doing a $25 a month subscription, because parents, at least the ones that we've talked to, were very turned away from the $300 headsets that are out there.
But there's a whole
software and hardware play.
Software and hardware. I did not want to do the hardware.
With the SaaS.
Yeah. If I could have avoided the hardware, I would have.
That's interesting. Go ahead.
So I just want to say I have an Aura ring.
Yes, yeah. That's a good
I have a watch. Phones. I have all kinds of devices where I pay much more money.
Yes.
And I subscribe. You may be in the wrong target market. What about professionals? And why not charge $500 and $100 subscription, which is dirt cheap, if you can get one person in your business be more productive by a tiny bit, and you gamify this.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I know. The
Everybody here is engaged right now.
Yeah.
And the target profile that you were mentioning are very okay with giving you $100 for it.
No,
like
I know.
that's pennies.
I think you found
your
target market.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? I just looked at my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, like, we have 2 kids,
Yeah.
and they're not in the target market, but as a parent, we're only gonna do so many subscriptions for our kid. It's one thing doing it for yourself, and however, if you were targeting 20-year-olds that are new in the workplace, and this is something they're trying to overcome in order to do well in the job, I would pay for that for my adult children. And so I do wonder about if you're creating a hurdle that's gonna be too high and too expensive to overcome by going to, because you're selling to parents and then it's getting to the kids. It just, that's hard, it's not easy.
Yeah, and also parents have this protective nature of, you know, this is something new, my children, I don't wanna figure it out. You have that psychology going on there as well.
Well, then also we had the colors on the screen, and so then you got 2 parents, let's say I'm at the top, I'm a red, my wife's at the bottom, she was gonna be a yellow or green, and she's trained as an epidemiologist, so she's gonna be like, where are the studies? Were they done with kids that were on drugs, weren't on drugs?
Right.
She's gonna be asking all that. It's a tougher sell than the 20-year-old might make an impulse buy and then say, come on, Mom, come on, Dad, just, let me do it. So anyway, just instant feedback. You're getting a lot of questions, which is great.
Go for it.
Me? Hi. What about selling to, like, I don't know how it works medical wise, but like, what about selling to like ADHD coaches and like independent therapists?
That is part of the reason we're trying to go through like a B2B2C, is to use other businesses, especially because there's a lot of places that have like disability focused educational support, and like tutoring, learning centers, those kind of areas are people who are already seeking help for educational like failings and things like that, and the reason that we went with the parents and kids, because we did do it in, like, at the very least, some user research with adults in their 20s, people who were like professionals in the workplace, and they showed interest, but when we were talking to parents of kids who were struggling in school, it was like, they really wanted to try it, like they wanted it now, so that way they can see if it can help their kid through school. Because a lot of parents, especially, and it's like not just limited to ADHD, because 11% of students have ADHD, but there's 20% of students that don't have a formal diagnosis and still have clinically significant inattention symptoms. So that specific group is where, especially for a lot of parents, sometimes immigrant parents, their expectations of like the kid needs to do well now in school is kind of the urgency that made us choose that route. That was just what we heard. But,
So
yeah.
last question, one more question,
Yeah.
we're done. So only someone who hasn't asked
Yeah.
before, have you asked before?
Oh, it was a joking question, no, I have a
Okay, go
serious
ahead.
one.
You get the last
Just,
one.
just from a pricing perspective, why you just pretty much give the device itself almost for free? And people, it's like managed services where the software subscription plus additional $10, 6 months, 9 months commitment, whatever, so there's no barrier to entry related to the device itself, and it's more of a subscription. Think about that, I think that could be more of a pricing
No, that's
strategy.
valid, that's valid. Cause the only reason we were thinking 85 is just for the COGS, just literally to cover our main like initial cost of manufacturing it. That's the only reason, so that's definitely something that we can consider.
So a great sign is when a founder gets up, tells the story, and there's a ton of engagement and a ton of questions. Write down the questions.
I know,
Talk
I
to
gotta track
people.
as many as I can.
Yeah, it's a great sign, do this again. Thank you so much, that was
Yeah, no
awesome.
problem.
Okay, as we're calling on people, Sophia, I feel like you should go next, your story would work.
Yeah. We just have our prototype, but I will brainstorm, take your content.
Have you done this before? Have you told your story?
Yeah, more or less.
No,
More or less.
I'd love to take your content.
Little pitch competitions.
Okay,
Hi,
cool.
I'm Sophia Mueller. I'm the founder of Solta AI. I founded this because of personal experience. My therapist had recommended a therapy called EMDR, and I didn't take her up on it because it was really expensive. Like at the time, even though I was working at Apple, I was doing really well. I could only afford so many sessions a week, and this therapy is not verbalized. It's like a dot that you follow with your eyes when they tell you to think about a traumatic memory or something that's bothering you. So I was like, I prefer to do talk therapy. I'll do that with you. And then at the time, I was working at Apple in the brain health research stuff, really cool stuff. But I was also working on my master's in machine learning, and the stress was so much that I ended up in the hospital. And learning about what had happened to me, I learned that EMDR could have been something that really prevented that. And I started learning more about it, and I was learning that when a therapist gives you EMDR, they're reading up your emotions, they're looking at your facial expression, your tone of voice, to understand what you're feeling as you're thinking about something that's bothering you, and they adjust the speed of this bilateral stimulation, this thing that you're following with your eyes, based on that. At the same time, in my master's in machine learning, I was learning that AI is really good at detecting human emotion through computer vision, through your facial expression and your tone of voice. So I was like, this is very automatable. And in the process of building this, I've also learned that it doesn't have to be a full therapy session, which is usually around an hour and a half. Just 5 minutes of following a dot on the screen can really help you reset your emotional state. So like if you receive an email that really bothered you and like you can't bring yourself back to a regular emotional state, or like also if you have cravings, if you have certain addiction, it can also reset that emotional state. So I'm currently working on this wellness tool that's web-based, reads your facial expression, your tone of voice, and adjusts based on that. And then on the side, I'm gonna be doing the research and development to create the full AI-guided EMDR therapy eventually. I don't know if I hit all the points.
It was good, no, it was really good. How do you find your customers, cause you talked about early in the class that you were thinking both B2C but also B2B. In a B2B way, if I'm an employer, it's not like I've asked my managers and VPs, hey, how many people do y'all have in your division that fit this categorization? I think that'd be illegal. I don't think, so how do you find your customers in a way that builds the demand? Like, I'm just really curious, like that seems to me the hardest thing.
Yeah, so it's not, like I was saying, it's not necessarily for employees,
Employers, to help their employees, yeah.
Yeah, for an employer, it's not necessarily for their employees. Like the customer that I've been able to find so far is a startup that has some mental health edge to whatever they're offering. Like what we're offering is gonna help your emotional state, is gonna give you peace of mind, and then they're buying my product to like add as a perk of their product. Eventually we would like to go to employers, and it would just be something that is offered to them, not being like, hey, you have any trauma you want to reprocess, here's this for you. It would just be offered to all of the employees, and whoever wants to use it just clicks on the link and goes and use it.
Cool. Other people, go ahead.
So, for me, this is a heck of a sale, because what actually ends up happening, this is a typical scenario, I see it every single day. You have an employee, gets frustrated, and what truly happens is they get off the desk, especially if they work remote, and they go do something else, and there you are, paying $50 an hour for 7 hours because someone is pissed at you. So if you're able to figure out when they're pissed, and you're able to have a therapy, you could make a heck of a business case. Of course, you're gonna need that startup to give you the data, and you'll be able to provide that you are gonna have a material impact in the productivity of the employees as a whole, and you can go back and say, hey, if you have 100 employees at a $50 per hour, we could save you this percentage in money, and our product pays itself.
Exactly, and we can also read the churn and turnover of both employees and also like users of whatever product we are partnering with.
So I wanna, hold on real quick. So what he did right there is he showed what's the value in her pitch. So the value is, it's always quantifiable, it's always money, right? So he quickly got to, that's what I was trying to do with Jorge on the objection, show, quantify the problem about using all those attorneys. He did the same thing with her example. You have to show the value as well as the benefits. That's really, you do that and you really nail it with your pitch. Scrub Daddy didn't have to do it because you could see the value, but in B2B many times you have to. Yes, sir.
Oh, I have a Scrub Daddy and I live the value. I still use it today. So do you feel like there's a good application in like things like addictions or things of that sort?
Yeah, there is a lot of research that EMDR, which is the therapy behind what we're building, works really well for addiction. So like for cravings as well, we are working on this messaging of like whenever you're getting a craving and you feel like you can't let it go and focus on other things, use our tool and it will help you like go back to a more calm
Save GLP, surely.
That was great. Thank you so much. Okay, are we gonna do 4 women in a row? Do you wanna go with Erica?
Me?
You wanna go next? You wanna try to tell your story?
Sure. I've never done this before, so you guys can roast me.
Hold on, that's a rule we have. We don't roast anyone. If you roast someone, that's it. We ask you to leave. We don't do that to people at all. We're here to give nice feedback. We're here to give constructive feedback, but there's no roasting. There's no meanness. That's a class across the hall where you drink tequila. That's not us.
Well, I had one glass, so if you guys roast me, I might cry a little bit.
Jorge's gonna throw them out. They roast.
With that line, I feel already obliged to say that it's wonderful.
No, constructive. Go ahead.
Constructive. Anyways, hi guys, my name is Erica. I used to be in sales. You know when people call you and say like, oh, your car's extended warranty? Yeah, that was me. So if you cussed anyone out, hey, thanks. After that, I went into tech sales. Then I went into tech sales recruiting, figured out that I could make so much more going solo. Went solo 3 months ago.
So I help startup businesses within tech, usually pre-Series A, build their sales teams. Reason for that is founders don't have time to interview people, figure out how to interview people, and figure out exactly what they need for their business, and that's exactly what I do, and then I drop candidates on their desk. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Any questions for Erica? You got a couple, go ahead.
You know, you're sitting down with a founder and he's like, you know, I have a bunch of these profiles that I want to fill. How do you extract the information from that founder to say, you know what, these are going to be the right candidates that I'm going to put their CV in front of you?
It's literally sales, going back to discovery and qualifying, and just asking them, like, usually a founder will come up to me and say, like, okay, I need someone with like 1 year of experience doing this, closing this kind of deal cycle. And then my job is just to ask them why relentlessly, to figure out why that's important, why they need that, and if they've had anyone on their sales team, like where that is. So then once I find those profiles, if they ever come back to me and be like, oh no, I don't want to interview them, I can be like, well, you told me that you did. And that's, I hope that answered your question.
What did you see or experience that, you know, got you from tech sales into saying, you know, I can make more just going solo?
I worked in an agency, so I saw the invoices, but I've also done that's honestly, but I've also done recruiting a little bit in the past. When I was in college, I did recruiting for a bowling alley, because bowling alleys, people don't really like to work there for a long time. Yeah.
Cool.
What are the 3 main problems that founders have, and how do you solve those?
So interviewing takes a lot of time. I'm more of a top of funnel. And then finding candidates, finding quality candidates also takes a lot of time. But also, if you don't have a salesperson in that seat, they're losing potential revenue, they're losing pipeline. And then also, alternatively, if they hire someone quickly and they hire a bad person, that's even more expensive. Thank you for asking that.
Just a question here. Have you considered, instead of branding yourself as a recruiter, but as a sales development expert? Because basically what you're doing is that you're moving the whole class that we're here for, from the founder-led sales down to the first steps of having a sales organization for any enterprise. So if you come at me as a recruiter, I see the value here. If you come at me as a sales development, you're gonna help me build my sales organization. It's the same thing, but it sounds like this.
It's turning you into a food truck right now.
I do something kind of similar, so I kind of do like a no bullshit recruiting. So like my first meeting with every candidate, I just tell them how I get paid, which I'm basically like, yeah, please negotiate your comp because you're gonna give me more money. But I also coach all of my candidates if they want it. So I do that, but there's like, it's kind of like an industry problem right now where like, you can't really ask unemployed people for money. So coaching candidates to get the job if they're not working with one of my clients, it's not really something that I can do. I hope that answered your question. Hi.
I don't think it completely answered his question, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to help you a little bit.
Please do.
Not roasting him. I think he's been trying to say you can position yourself as an SDR, BDR expert, which our conversation earlier, that's where you position yourself already. Yeah. But you're not actually marketing yourself as that. You're marketing yourself as a generic recruiter, which is a vastly overserved market, not an underserved market. And so I think what he's, am I right? Okay, I'm hitting a nerve here, I think.
So, and I don't know this.
Please, go
this
ahead.
is just a pure assumption, but I would say that the going rate for a recruiter, it is half or 60% of the going rate for the position that you should subscribe.
I don't know. I don't even know what that market is for that. But recruiters make pretty good percentage of what they bring in.
I love this. This is great.
I want to tell you something. I can very easily sell your service as part of my mandate, because I can walk into a startup, let's say, and say, you know what, don't worry about your sales department.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring you here. You're gonna take the lead for the next 6 months, build it up, bring someone else to do the processes, you know, maybe even put the HR, you know, policies, etc. Right? You're selling, you know, a 360 degree. You're selling a package to these startups, not just 5 individuals that you're gonna hire. and you can charge much more than, you know, whatever.
So, two things to add, and then I wanna get to someone else. One is, I think what I'd recommend locking down your process, so you can say to someone, look, our process, it's these 5 steps, these 6 steps, it's on a slide, they get it, and they can see how they fit in. The second is, I think you might need something like a guarantee. So let's say we hire someone from you, it doesn't work out in 60 days, we'll find a replacement in 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd mention the guarantee, cause that kind of closes the deal, that's sort of, but thank you, I thought it was great. So I can call someone, a last person, but I wanna see, does anyone wanna go as the last person, as a founder? Does anyone wanna go?
I'll go.
You go, hold on. Jenna,
Oh, you don't want me to
Angus,
go.
huh?
I see how it is.
No.
We can go together.
Do it, Jenna and Angus. We have, I'll tell you, Michael, that, 90% of Capital Factory events are all guys. And so when we get more women, we always talk about it, we're like, let's really try to give the women a shot.
Did you just admit to sexual discrimination?
No, it's not, it just naturally, the numbers go towards men at Capital Factory. So when it comes, hey, come on. So we did, except for Angus, we did all women tonight, so.
I'm closing my ears in HR right now.
Okay, y'all tell me, are y'all married?
No.
We're dating, but.
We're dating, okay. No rush, no rush.
Yeah, so my name's Angus. I'm obviously from the UK, if you can tell. Been in the States a few years now. And so I guess our company is called ICO, and so we are a business automation company looking at document processing, data entry, that kind of stuff. And so my background, I work for a sort of a medium-sized business in the lighting and sort of interior space. And what I found in our business is that we have lots of orders coming in from retailers across the US, across the world, and they're all coming in PDFs. The lighting industry is very old, very antiquated, run by generally older guys who have these retail stores. And I was looking at this issue and I thought, God, there must be a way to automate this. And that's where I met Jenna out of the bar, and that's kind of what she does. And so I thought, maybe we could work together and solve some of these problems. And there are lots of people out there solving them, but at least in our industry, I've seen there are lots of businesses with these problems. So it's a large market with lots of potential there. So even if we're not necessarily unique as of yet, we're still trying to work out. We're a food truck. I'm not sure we've got our menu just yet. And so yeah, I'll sort of hand over to you.
Yeah, I think we're still trying to solve our problem. I started off at a multi-billion-dollar company 2 years ago as an intern right out of college, and I was the only one that was able to solve a problem that nobody else there was able to solve, which is document extraction automations. And when I met Angus, and he told me his company was having a similar problem, and we realized that I was like, if this huge company that I work at can't solve this issue and their company can't solve it, I feel like there's a big problem out there. So I think we're still trying to figure out exactly what that problem is. I found my skills are, pretty diverse, I would say. I can work with across different applications, but figuring out the problem that I'm exactly trying to solve has been a bit more difficult because I feel like I can solve a lot of problems these days. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
I like the way y'all pitch together in a natural way. You should keep practicing that. That's pretty cool. So one thing, this happens a lot, not only at Capital Factory startups, but a lot of startups. They start with kind of a product that's trying to find the problem. It's really common and it's hard. So you just gotta talk to a lot of people to figure that out. But it's not that rare. The good news is, sounds like you haven't raised money and you're not really formalized, so you have that cushion, which is great, versus a lot of people, they raise $1 million, couple million, and then the clock's running and they get really, really worried, and you're much better in this phase without the pressure.
Yeah, I think the bargain entry in this field is pretty low. I mean, things like stuff is not super expensive, so we don't need that, and there's definitely a demand for it right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, there's no question.
Sorry, you said demand for it, and and you're still trying to find the problem.
I mean, I
Just define that it and go get it.
Process.
The English major.
I think one of the things where sort of, and maybe you can clarify this or qualify it, is do we really want to be more sort of SaaS and we've got a product and we sell this and we find people with that problem, or do we want to be more sort of custom based and we go out and say, do you have maybe a more unique problem or something specific to your business, and then we can work around your tools, and I think that's maybe sort of higher ticket but less scalable, and well, I think we're probably too early to be worrying about scaling.
You're
So
talking
really
about
just-
two different things though. That's a monetization strategy versus like actually defining the problem and what you solve.
But do we solve one problem consistently, or do we solve
Like I built
different problems for different people? Yeah.
I built a platform right now. It's for a charity and it's a social media engagement platform. So I'm kind of deciding. I'm like, I don't know if I want my business to go more towards taking the solution that I've already built for one customer and being able to scale it to multiple customers. You know, obviously the people that use social media, with advertisement, it's mostly women. So like boutiques, hair salons, med spas, like that kind of thing. Or if I want to, that's like a customized solution I was able to build for people or other charities. Or if I want to, you know, use other, I don't know. We're still trying to figure it out. But
Is the analysis, why are you analyzing? It's based on like what you want to do or what the market
probably more
wants?
likely what the market wants.
Okay, so does your product serve an underserved market?
I would say so.
Okay, can that market afford to pay you reasonably that you can reasonably scale it?
I hope so. I'm in the discovery phase.
So that's okay. That's
yeah,
fair.
we're still in the discovery phase for that. But
Abby's next, go ahead.
So this is just an idea I got from a different founder back in Arizona. But the way that she kind of did it is, and since you're early, you know, you get to choose your own adventure. But the way she did it is she started selling a service and then built a product around the services that were required of her. So she started using like the knowledge she gained from selling a specific service. So like say you could do these like personalized things for different people, find the common thread, and then build an app. And so it was a way for her to get revenue right away, as well as like be able to test out what a good product would be for this group.
thank you. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
That's a framework. You see that again and again. It's not an easy flip of the switch where they can stay in a service mode. They're almost like consultants, like an agency, going after different problems, and then trying to switch to SaaS is hard, but at least, you know, you're getting repetition. Hopefully you're getting profitable gigs that you price right.
Yeah.
And you're really learning. I feel like sometimes it's easier if you start with a particular vertical that has a real problem, where you have a tight ICP, and then you're looking at problems within that vertical with that tight ICP, and that it's easier. And right now, as Abby, you called it like pick your own plate or something?
Well, okay, I said choose your own adventure, but that was, to your point, that was what she did exactly. So she was focused exclusively on like retail restaurants. And so she delivered a sales service for selling events for those retail restaurants. And then she was able to get like much higher profits for each of the restaurants she's working on. So now she's building an app that carries a lot of the sales work. So if they don't want to hire her full sales team, they can at least still generate leads for selling out events at their restaurants.
Oh,
So she
cool.
chose a specific thing, but then she delivered the service, you know, gained experience from delivering that service, and then built an app around what it is that she found successful. So she already had like that kind of narrowed down. So yeah, that was just how
That's
she did
really
it.
smart.
Yeah, that's how she did it.
And there's a guy here who his family was maybe similar to Melissa. They were in the beef market. I think that they were raising cattle somewhere in the middle of America, his family was. And like his grandfather got into beef processing. So this guy grew up with it, and his dad got in the business, and it was expected that he would get in the business. And he was an engineer, and he saw that the whole beef industry, he would talk about it's like the mob. He was like, there's 12 families, and then you got more families, but then it consolidated, and they're all using paper and pen. He's like, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And so he created a service that turned into an app about how it goes from cattle, the actual cattle in the land, to beef in the supermarket. He's like, all of those steps to processing, he's like, basically his system has replaced what used to be pen and paper.
Cool.
And, but he was in the market, so he really knew it, and this has evolved like over his lifetime.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of my pain point right now is I know that I have a really important skill, like I'm able to build like agentic personas and, you know, these kinds of process automation across different applications and for these companies, but finding like a very specific, like vertical to solve the problem for, that's where I'm in this discovery phase and trying to find, like where, like is it law, is it, you know, we've looked at construction and like those kinds of companies. I think that's where we're at right now.
I mean, my gut says you would wanna go with a blue collar industry.
Yeah.
That's been avoided, like, let's say roofing, and where they have to go to one place to buy all the materials, they buy it before the job. How's that pricing happening, how are those invoices?
Exactly,
I'm sure a
yes.
lot of it is old school.
And the people that kind of tend to avoid tech, it's a really,
Even general contractors.
yeah.
You know, on the smaller scale.
Yeah, you should go to the contracting conference, Jorge's going to in Austin.
The general contractors have still not nailed being able to job report and do like, cause they're just building, right, and often founders and hands-on, and so they still have not nailed that. There has been so many project management apps for builders and contractors, and they just do not do the job.
Yeah.
So it's your time, man.
Yeah.
If you really wanna test out roofers, I know the main guy at GAF, the largest roof supplier company, and he's actually over all of his network of roofers over the entire nation. So if you really wanna test that, hit
I'd
that.
love to know more about his business and how his business works. I think that, like I
They
said,
sell a lot of shingles.
So, Jorge said, we got shingles, that's great. So, we are over time, that was wonderful, y'all did a great job. What's happened all year is that our class, it was 90 minutes, and you can see what's happened all year long. Every session is going 2.5 hours. Our agreement with Capital Factory is that we're all out of here and on the first floor by 9 of the latest, so we have 10 minutes. We can go down the elevator. We're happy to talk to people. It is Cinco de Mayo. And so this was a great class. I thank everyone for coming. You guys blew me away today, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
We encourage everyone to share info via LinkedIn, unless you don't want to.
I do.
Yeah, that'd be really great because I'm managing. So I have a lot of these startups that I work with, and I sell my services for development, valuation, etc. There's a lot of time where your service is actually something you're missing. So I prefer. But let's see take something like ultimate card. Yeah, let's do that early next week or end of this week because I'm working with a couple of these startups, and one of the things I'm really working on, and that's why I want to see whether we can actually pitch the idea of taking responsibility for recreating it or even whether through hiring perspective, we can choose getting the right guys, jumping in the end. It's like we just got the money, but we don't know what to do with the right guys.
That was awesome. I love what you're doing. Yeah, I have to recognize guys that they're food finance guys, and they do a lot of both
debt financing and equity financing. They're based here, but they do it all over, like Colorado and Texas. And I mean, that's all they do. So like equity, oh, they know, and they work with a lot of farmers.
Yeah, right.
So, I have to dig through my email. I can't remember what
So, but are we still going to catch up on Thursday?
yeah. I can do that. Yeah. I gotta double check with my wife. I'm pretty sure it's good.
It's not like we can just
No, it's good. Yeah, I think it's good. I just have to double check. Oh, thanks. Well, thank you for coming. That's great. I'm glad Christine introduced us.
Me too, and I was going to I had to go to events, and I was like, wait, I'm good.
I know, it's wild.
So, yeah, it's been super good.
How long were you in the States before you go back?
I'm here till in Austin till Saturday. Meditation retreat.
That's awesome. Where?
The Gaylord, Texas. It's like outside of Dallas.
That's Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So I did a meditation retreat outside of Dallas.
Did you?
Yes.
With who?
I did one with this Buddhist guy. It was it's near Paris, Texas.
Oh, right.
So it's like 90 minutes north east of Dallas, and it was awesome.
That's like yeah, I'm doing Joe Dispenza, which is sort of a job session for some defects and how to do that predictably.
Okay.
And so he's now back as a doctor and a bunch of medical people like all over and trying to figure out what he's doing. And my dad did it because I told him to do it, and he did it before I did, and I was like, come on, man.
I mean, I would do the one I did. I would do it again.
Yeah.
Like it was great. It was definitely more Buddhist. There's two Buddhist ones. One is west of Fort Worth. I can't remember the town. That is more like in with Dallas people, like fancy Dallas people. And it's like they have a wait list. And the one I did, like they're more of like the academics, but anyway, it was great. Yeah.
That's cool. It's just nice to be unplugged.
The meditation retreat is great.
Like unplugged from the matrix.
Exactly. Let me try to get people on the first floor.
Yeah, that's all.
you trying to do it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's try to share the We'll walk, let's talk at the elevator. So I know it is,
But you
who's
were
doing that?
Part of it is what you're trying to be and
Get
just
the job done.
chatting with the
And it shows you what you need and not what you
Yeah, let's go to the elevators and talk. They always say that they're like, we don't want people working past 9 p.m. So.
Oh, I can figure that out.
I'm glad you came, Jessica. Thank you for coming. Austin or the Bay Area?
So
what do you do actually?
You're from Austin and just.
What did I do before? Built Shopify.
Wow, that's cool.
Built mobile app for Shopify.
Let's walk out guys to the elevator.
I've been in e-commerce. Remember I used to work at Magento. Yeah. So.
Carlos.
But yeah, I've been like trying to retail little things, and I don't know how to
That's not, sorry if I'm.
No, you're great.
It's not commodity.
Michael, we gotta walk to the elevator.
Unless they buy it from you. Are you selling it? Is it ready?
Thank you.
Because we built all this combination stuff.
porque antier no lo usaron. Huele como a borracho amanecido. Ay, como a viejito sobaco. Uf, ¡qué horrible! Sí, en las mesas que aquí a veces huele rico porque a veces siempre una muchacha que tiene un perfume tan rico. Sí, pero qué feo, ¿no? Qué feo huele. Sí, huele feo. A veces, ¿sabes por qué a veces cambiando el cosito del que le echamos a la máquina para limpiar este piso? Oye, porque tanto que entran y salen y comen aquí adentro, un solo de desmadre caen acá. Ay, vale, ya lo voy a poner con tu tambor, que antes que se me olvide. Si quiere, ahorita que yo termine, me voy allá a estar con el señor en el lobby y le tomo la foto. Ah, ok. Para que ustedes se vayan trazando y así le tomo también a la muchacha en los elevadores. Todos los días tiene que tomar fotos en los elevadores. Ay, sí. Y pero logró detallar, ¿verdad? Pero fíjate que me falta. Ah, pero es que no usted sabe que es usted sola. Mira, hay unos, porque esos que están sucísimos, era que había gente el día que yo andaba y no le, pero ya tengo rato que creí. Sí. Y un día que, aquí a estos también un día le andaba dando porque, ay no, yo me sentía, pero ojalá Dios quiera y ahorita ya para allá ponerme. Mire, yo lo que he entendido es que aunque sacuda una suite por día está bien. Nadie se mete. No ocupa sacudir todo el piso completo en un día, porque andar usted sola, pues hay tantas cosas que hacer, como para estar enfocando nomás solo en sacudir. Pero así yo ando con el señor ahorita abajo, le tomo el reporte y ya, ella sabe cómo llenar la máquina. Sí, yo le dije cómo. Ese es el problema. Esta gente. No, y estaban parados en la puerta bloqueándola como para que no entrara. Ay, pero los del 15 sí me dieron cólera con la cocina. Sí. ¿Y ahí están por ahí? ¿En el 15? No, cuando yo por allá todo. No, y te llegó otra muchacha. ¿Será que regresaron? Porque cuando yo fui a limpiar de último. Ahorita que yo estuve viendo, encerrando. Ajá. Ay, no. Sí. Ay, huele a sobaco. ¿Va que no se explico bien? No, está limpio. Es que yo ayer lo mapeé todito, le di. Todito. Tratar de fácil, rapidísimo. Sí. No la pueden agarrar una tapiza de para que se puedan mapear. No la pueden dejar abierta. Y no la pueden dejar abierta. Porque como que apagaron el aire. Y es que eso, el aire lo calienta así como eso. Parece que es uno más bien.